Okay, so what is your palate? No. So, what is your palate? It's your taste buds. At the start here, in just a moment, you'll see a slide which depicts your tongue. And it's going to show you where you're tasting the 4 basic things you can taste. Because that's all you can taste. You know, I mean, if you catch one of these fellas that's got the little taster band thing on the chain around his neck and he's giving you all sorts, I think your duty bound to kick his ass till his nose bleeds. There's 4 things you can taste. Salt, sweetness, sourness and bitterness. And if you look at this next little slide, it'll show you roughly where you should be tasting those on your tongue. Don't worry if you're not tasting these tastes in the area that's indicated. It's quite usual for people to have the taste buds aligned in a slightly different way. To have a palate that can be trained, all you need to do is to be able to actually identify the difference between these various tastes. Some people can't do it. They suffer from what's called taste blindness, same as people are colourblind. They can perhaps identify maybe only 2 of these things. So what we're going to do is give you some exercises to find out A, do you have a palate, and B, can you train it? Now we're going to make up 4 solutions that are going to give us acidity, sweetness, salt and bitterness. Now salt doesn't really come into it for winemaking, well at least I hope it doesn't, or maybe martini or maybe ferment one of these days.
Hey!
So to make the solution up, take 5 grams of acid, 5 grams of sugar, 5 grams of salt, but only 1 gram of tannin. Now if you can't measure these things out, don't worry about it, use a teaspoon. If you've stolen sugar from cafes while you've been out and about, here's one Martina stole earlier. These weigh 5 grams, but a teaspoon is enough. So you take a teaspoonful of acid, citric or tartaric. Malic doesn't work as well, acid blend doesn't work quite as well. But citric is better because it cuts through easier, it's easier identifiable. Wine tannin, sugar and salt. Get 4 glasses and put a teaspoonful of acid in one, teaspoonful of sugar in the second, a teaspoonful of salt in the third, and a 1/4 of a teaspoon of tannin, approximately, in the 4th one. And then add to each of those glasses 100 millilitres of water.
May I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
Is the teaspoon a level teaspoon?
It doesn't really matter. It's rounded.
Okay.
Good question. Thanks for that. So, add the water to it, swirl it till it's completely dissolved. And then, taste them and decide which is the best. It's better if you can get somebody else to do it for you. And again, there's a downloadable placemat that has A, B, C and D written on it. You get somebody else to do those for them, make a note of which is which, and then place them out. Now, the only downside to that is that the tannin's a bit of a giveaway because it has an orangey colour, so perhaps you can add a little bit of food colouring to each of the 4 glasses to make them all look the same. Or if you're lucky enough to have some enocyanine, which is a red grape derivative, which is a colouring, available at all good homebrew shops, then drop a little bit of that in there. Perhaps you can speak to our friend at Hobby Wine Supplies, I'm sure he can give you some. Sell you some. So, once you've got those, taste them. Roll it around your mouth. And then spit it out. Don't swallow these things because you're going to, you know, to taint things. It's the same as when you're going to taste an awful lot of wines. You need to be spitting it out. Now I know that may be sort of shock horror for somebody, but if you are going to taste a lot and you want your palate fresh at the end, you don't want to be drinking a lot of it. When we're judging on the show bench, sometimes we have up to 40 bottles of wine to test. Now if you swallowed a little of each of those, by the end of it, you'd be hammered. You'd be quite happy, but I suspect the competitors wouldn't. So test them in turn. There's a downloadable GIF of the picture of the tongue. I'll also upload a plain one so you can mark on it where you're tasting it. It doesn't matter if you don't taste it where the thing says, as long as you can identify it. So you then start to build up a bit of a picture about where you're tasting things in your mouth. And be sure and double check, triple check, quadruple check, and keep good notes. Keep referring back to them. Once you can do it, you know, very easily and identify them, then half the dose, so half a teaspoon and an eighth of a teaspoon. Or, easier still, if you've got a 100 millilitre solution, make it 200 millilitres you're adding to it and pour yourself a glass of that. And again, get somebody else to do it. Then once you're nailing those down, you can perhaps dilute a little bit more, but what I think is probably more useful then is to have one glass that's completely plain. And then as you're doing it for acid, you want to have one that's just acid, one that's acid and tannin, one that's acid and sugar. And again, work your way through it, and then one that's just the bitterness one, and then various things added. Once you're nailing those down, then dilute them again. And you can take it to the nth degree, and once you get a little bit of practice at this, you can detect these things at the tiniest level. Now this is going to help you to become a better winemaker, because you have a better understanding of what's required. And again, I'll post as a downloadable attachment to the forum, the wines by style, which will give you an indication of what you should be having in various wines by way of level of tannin, acidity, sweetness. You can then start to look at replicating your favourite store-bought wine. You get the wine home, you really like it, take a little time this time before you neck it, and drop your hydrometer in it. Use an acid test kit, and they're only about £5.50 to £6 available from all good homebrew stores. And check the acidity level of the wine that you like. To really test accurately for sugar levels in the wine, particularly residual sugar, go to Boots the chemist and buy yourself a clinic test kit. And it's what diabetics use to check the sugars in their blood, in their urine. You want a fresh kit. And just start testing. What is the content of your favourite wine? So you better understand how you've got more of a chance of replicating it. But above all else, experiment. And the great thing about it all is that you get to drink wine while you're doing it. So I hope that's been useful to you all. I'm online all the time. If you have any questions about it, as ever, feel free to post those questions and we'll answer them as best we can. Enjoy, have fun, and happy winemaking.